Hello everyone, Mr. Thunderpaws here is going to intro our video a bit, right? Yeah, there we go, big cat. He likes head scratches. Yeah, he does. Anyhow, the Big Spring Contest has started at Scale Model Addict, and I am a bit late. It started April 1st, and I've been busy with work. I will be for another week or two, to be honest with you, but I can start one of my contest entries. I'm going to have 2 contest entries, maybe 3. I know that sounds ambitious, but they have a Shelf Queen category this time around, so 2 out of those 3 will be Shelf Queens, which means that, well, they're partially done, okay? And that makes life a lot easier for everyone involved. Sorry, I'm reaching across the camera. Ill-prepared, let's just say that. One of the things is, we're supposed to show the date on our entries. So, Mr. Camera right there, it says April 9th. Well, Mr. Thunderpaws demands a bit of attention. Right, Mr. Paws? You like that. Anyhow, let's get to the models, shall we? Alright, here is going to be my new entry. I know, exciting, right? The RTX-65 Guntank Early Type. EFSF Long Range Support Mobile Suit. It is a 1/44 scale kit. And I'm going to open the box up and take a look inside. This is one of the newer Gundam kits to come out. I know some of you are disappointed. I could be doing a Millennium Falcon. I could be doing the Space 1999 Eagle. But this is what I want to build. Okay? Let's take a look at the box art. First, I like this. This is one of the Gundam units that isn't too cartoonish to me. Most of them are very brightly colored, and they look a little cartoonish at times. Okay? If we look at the side panel, okay, and I'll bring it up over here a little bit. Really glossy box. It's realistically colored. Now, being 1/44 scale, this thing's going to be pretty good size. All right, and the side that side panel is basically the front, and you can see it's got a lot of mobility to it. In other words, the guns are independently aimed, the arms move, the body swivels, and right here is showing all the little gimmicks involved with the kit. Okay, so if you give me a minute, I'm going to reset the camera. We'll see what's inside this box. Okay, so back in a second. Okay, here we go. Let's open the box. Now, if you this model came from HobbyLink Japan. If you bought any model from a Japanese model company, the boxes are never sealed. It's American model companies that seal the boxes. In Japan, they don't seal them so you can inspect the contents of the box and decide if you want to buy it or not. In the United States, they're sealed because someone will inspect the contents and put them in your pocket and walk off without paying for them. So, big difference right there. But let's open her up. Okay, first thing we see are the full color directions. Okay. Painting guide down here if I want to paint it, which I will, and I'll probably promptly ignore the painting guide simply because I think I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it this grayish color because I like the look of it, but I'm not going to follow the official colors. I don't care. Okay. And if we could read Japanese, we could find the whole story and background behind this thing. Okay. And here's some of the final assembly steps. If we open it this way, like all Bandai models, you start with a sprue map, a few things about how to put Gundam kits together, and this is true for this Bandai Star Wars kits as well. We get up in here, you put the main body together first. Now what this doesn't show is, you will see it in a few minutes because I've inspected this. Right here, there's 2 rings right there. Well, those are jump motors, so this thing can actually jump up in the air. Okay? And the body's going to go together fairly quick. Now, the tracks, these are what worry me because these tracks are in 2 parts. And there's going to be a seam line running right down the center of those tracks. Pardon me. I have a bad sinus infection right now on top of work being kind of crazy. So that worries me a little bit. It can make or break this kit very quickly if the track assembly goes together very well. And Bandai's known for having very good model kits. That could just be a beautiful thing, or it could just completely destroy the whole model. So it just really depends on how this track assembly goes together. Okay, and then we have the other track assembly here. Then you start doing the upper body where the head is. Upper torso. I don't know what that thing is. Probably an ammo canister. And then you get the head. Now the head does have clear pieces on it, which means if I can figure out how to do it, I could light it. And that may be more of a challenge than I'm willing to do with this kit. We will see. It'd be interesting to put some little running lights on it and stuff. And then we've got the left arm and the right arms, which are basically just cannons. And you will notice that the cannons are individual pieces. Okay? And it doesn't suffer from the problems the Maquet kits suffer from, these joints being completely polycaps. They're not. So painting them is going to be really easy to do. Okay? And I'm interested to see just how much movement are in these arm joints right here. Because there's a lot of overlapping pieces. That paint's going to wear off with time. So you have to sand off a little bit of it so it doesn't wear off. Alright? So there we go. That's a quick rundown of what the directions say for this kit. Now let's take a look at the parts in the box. I'm going to set the box aside. We have a little white board here, so I know I keep my parts in line. And since it's a grayish model, the white board shouldn't matter too much. Okay? I'm just off getting a hobby knife so I can open this. It does come with stickers, it looks like. Now, this isn't a Star Wars kit, so it's not liable to come with water slide decals. But most of those are black, which means I could scan them, do full color scan of them, and then print the decals out. Now that red isn't going, none of that red or yellow is going to work if you print your own decals. Only the black will. Now that white, yellow, or red would work. You're going to be stuck using the stickers, and this is definitely stickers. Now this isn't the stickers I was getting on that Stormtrooper. This actually feels different. I'll have to look at the directions and see what it is. But those might be very thin, low-lying stickers, which wouldn't be too bad. Okay, here's the two-part track. We're going to see how that looks in a little bit. You have two of these sprues. They are identical. That's because this thing has a left and right side. Okay? Detail-wise, they're kind of okay. I was wondering about the gun barrel. Yes, the gun barrel is drilled out. I don't know if you can see it, but they've got that pass-through that they have for the gun barrels. And for the little fingers and the hands, those are already drilled out too. So I don't have to worry about drilling those out. I was wondering about that. Okay? So right there, we have one of two identical sprues. And looking at it, it looks like those tracks might be a bit fun to put together if you're not careful. Because there's no overlapping pieces. They're just going to snap right next to each other. We're going to have some fun with this. And you can tell already it's not going to be a huge kit when it's done. It's just not going to be. Being 1/44 scale, it won't be. It's too small of a scale for one of these Gundam kits. Now I wonder if there's any accessories I can find for this, so to speak. Okay, now some of you armor people are going to recognize some of this stuff because we have drive wheels everywhere on this thing. That's what all that is. Those are drive wheels. Now, they're not like a tank because, well, 1/44 scale, this model will be the same size as probably a 1/35 scale tank. It's pretty, this is a massive piece of machinery if it was real. Okay, you have two identical sprues to this one. I'm sure this part right here is for an arm manipulator. It looks like a shoulder part. Okay, and one thing about the Bandai stuff, if you actually read the markings up in here, it'll tell you sometimes what the material is made out of, because sometimes they don't use styrene. Like, there's no way that's styrene. This is a polycap. Okay? This is a standard sheet of polycaps, and they have letters on them because they use the same sets of polycaps. Like, this is polycap 132. They'll use polycap 132 on 5 or 6 different kits. And it's just convenient for them. Okay. Now we get our last bag of sprues. So far, we are at 4 sprue, and it's at a polycap. Here's the visor. No need to tint that. That is a nice tint to that. A little white LED glowing behind that would look really good. So I might try to figure that out, but that's near the end of the build, fortunately. Here's those arms. Looks like they're 2 parts, but being made out of styrene, and it doesn't look like they're going to overlap each other or manipulate each other. Being made out of styrene, that's going to be pretty good. I can fill those and then paint them. Okay? So I'm not going to have any problems there. Here's the upper torso parts. Okay? And here's some of the hands. And I think parts of the head are right there. I could be wrong. No, that is parts of the head. If we turn this, we can see the underside of this. Now, these are snap kits, but Bandai puts the tolerances so tightly on their snap kits that once you push them together, they don't pull apart. So you better map out what you're going to do for paint and everything else before you put it together. You won't get it that way. Good thing is this thing goes together in sub-assembly, so it won't be very hard to take care of. There's the main body of the tank. Here's those jump fans I was talking about on the underside of it. This thing can jump up in the air. I don't think I'd want to be in it if it did, if this was real. And here's the mounting brackets for those tracks. And the other side is just all the inside. Now, one thing, you guys, if you're looking and you're trying to pay attention to, there's no pin marks. You don't see pin marks ever on a Bandai kit. So I'm not going to have to worry about pin marks or filling details. I am going to have to worry about sprue attachment points because these guys are attaching mid-body on this thing. But wait, these cover that. Bandai's really good about the sprue attachment points being underneath seam lines if they can get away with it. It's not going to be always true all the way through this thing. I'm going to have a few parts here and there. They're going to give me some trouble. Now, color-wise, I'm thinking of coloring this just like a TIE fighter. I built a TIE fighter 2 years ago. I'm going to color this thing up the same way as that because I like that color on that TIE fighter, and I think this will look good that color. Okay? So this is going to be a fun little build. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm pretty sure I can sit down and just put it together in a weekend if I'm not caring about how I do it. But I'm going to care about how I do this one, so don't expect it to be done really, really fast. Because I'm going to be looking for, should I put a running light here? Should I do anything? And see, the body of this has enough room to put batteries in. Okay? And if I were to carefully cut one of these out, I could have battery access. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to. Don't quote me on this. I may not do lighting in this one. I may deem it a little too hard to do. We will see. Okay? Another thing about it is if I were to mount it firmly to a base and run wiring up through the tracks, that would be a much simpler thing to do because I really don't like putting batteries inside a model because then you're taking it apart all the time to get the batteries in and out. And this guy's a little on the small side. I like to use AA batteries for lighting LEDs with because 2 of them give me 3 volts, 4 of them give me 6 volts. And when you got 3 volts or 6 volts, it's real simple to do some lighting on it. So that's along the lines of what I'm thinking. I've also been thinking about getting some USB jacks and starting to use USB power because USB has both 5 volts and 12 volts on it. I don't know if anyone was aware of that. And 5 volts is good for just pure LEDs, and 12 volts is good for LED light strips and miscellaneous other stuff. So there's one way of getting power in is just start using mini USB jacks. They're easy. They're small. They're easy to hide. I don't know. It's a thought. And those USB jacks aren't going to be too hard to get, and they're not going to be too expensive because they're pretty standard everywhere. All right. I hope you enjoyed the look at this thing. I'm going to go downstairs and get this video going. There's probably going to be 2 videos up very soon. One's a channel update. I'll be back in a little bit.